UFC Fight Night Edwards versus Brady takes place this weekend, and can we just quickly get a round of applause for Dana White and the UFC? They've got a UK-based event happening at UK time. I mean, some said it couldn't be done. Okay, so I was optimistic in thinking they can definitely get this done. But without further ado, let's get on to predicting these fights. We're gonna try and whiz through some of the prelims. We're gonna, because they're less important than the main event. We're gonna explain the main card a little bit more in depth. So we're going to try and whiz through some of these prelim fights, and let's just get down to predicting, yeah? Garam Kutateletsky, butchered his name, but versus Caio Fernandez. I think Teletsky will win this one. He is just an all-round better fighter. I don't think he's going to get a finish, nor do I think Fernandez will get a finish. Obviously, I mean, Kutateletsky is a very big favorite. I don't think that's how you say his name. I'm going to pick him to win by decision. I feel like it's going to be quite a competitive decision in a way that every single round is competitive, but I think Kutateletsky will get it done over the course of 3 rounds. That's my interpretation on wherever this fight is. Okay, moving on. Nathan Fletcher versus Kieran Laugren. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not positive, but I'm like 90% sure, so I am positive, but never mind. I think Fletcher will get this one done. He did have his fights on the Contender Series, not the Contender Series, the other one, the bad one, the Ultimate Fighter, at featherweight. So he did struggle a little bit at featherweight because he is quite undersized for that division. But that's also because on the Ultimate Fighter, you have to cut weight a bunch. Like, you have to come along and go, I'm messing around with something. If you, like, on the Ultimate Fighter, you have to make weight like 4 or 5 times. Probably not even that, it's probably less than that. But you have to make weight a bunch of times. So it doesn't make sense to be cutting 20 pounds of water weight twice a week. So now that he's at more of his natural weight class of bantamweight, I can't believe I'm saying that, but, I think he'll be able to get it done. He's quite a big bantamweight and quite strong for the division, pound for pound. And I feel like he can definitely get past Laugren, who is like, he's very similar to like Marvin Vettori in a way that he doesn't really have much in his arsenal in terms of ability. Like, he's not going to throw a wheel kick, you get what I mean? But I feel like Fletcher will be able to get it done. He does have good grappling, especially at 135. So I'm going to bank with Fletcher to win this one. Moving on. Shauna Bonan versus Pooja Tomar. Pooja Tomar, I do not rate whatsoever, okay? Her only wins, effectively, are out of Matrix Fight Night, which, if you don't already know, is the main, like, MMA promotion in India, which is a struggling, like, they don't do very well in MMA whatsoever as, like, a country. I feel like, and Tomar, every single time she's faced anyone who is remotely good, she has lost to them or scabbed herself a robbery. So in the UFC, her only win and her only fight is a robbery, if we're going to be honest, against a pretty, strawweight fighter. I think strawweight, or it could be fair. I don't even. It would definitely be strawweight. And then she went to like one for 2 or 3 years, or no, 2 or 3 fights, sorry, and got butchered there. So I'm going to go with Shauna Bonan to get this one done by decision. I'm very confident about this pick, despite it being a pick-em, I think. But I'm very, very confident about this pick. Yeah. Next up, Christopher Leroy Duncan versus Andrei Polyev. Yeah, we're going to go with that. We're going to call him Andre for the sake of this one. Andre, he's back. I'm going to go Christopher Leroy Duncan here. The problem is, I've said this about every single, like, lanky fighter that has ever fought, and the more I think about it, none of them have actually been knocked out in this way. But, but if you look at their build, and you go, okay, right, do you reckon they could take a punch? You look at them and go, no, I don't think they could. I don't think they've got a good chin. I think they're depleting too much weight. They don't have a lot of frame behind them. But apparently that's wrong, and that's never happened before. But I'm banking on it happening in this fight. That was a bunch of yap, and I'm going to try and explain this more of an effective way. Basically, when you look at someone who has quite a weak frame or looks frail, or they've looked like they've cut a lot of weight, like look, TJ Dillashaw at flyweight doesn't have a chin because of how much he's cutting, how frail he looks, all that jazz. I think Andre is going to get chinned because of his frame, effectively. That's what I'm saying. Does that make any sense whatsoever? No. Are we going to be moving on to the next fight? Yes. Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. Very excited about this one. Hopefully Tybura won't sit on him for 3 rounds. If that does happen, we get another heavyweight fraud check over some guy who actually has talent, and we might as well just shut down the entire division. I'm going with a Mick Parkin KO in round 1, strictly because if it doesn't happen, we could be screwed as a division, as a company, as an organization, as a sport, with the lack of heavyweight talent we have. The odds makers are making it in favor of Tybura, I think, or it's very even. Now, this is probably because they know Mick Parkin's very good, but Tybura is also, he is known to just fraud check people by sitting on them. So I'm going to go with Mick Parkin to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Marcin Tybura frauded himself a fraud check, if that makes any sense. Moving on. Lona Kavanagh versus Felipe Dos Anjos. Kavanagh is very good. He didn't look very good in his debut, though. He was good. He threw some great body kicks, good head kicks. But in terms of like good striking, like his striking display from his hands specifically were a little bit questionable. His defense was questionable at times. I don't think he got taken down. I'll have to rewatch that fight that happened in Macau, which was his debut. I'm going to go with Kavanagh to win this one just because Dos Anjos is another bottom of the barrel flyweight. But I'm going to pick Kavanagh to win this one. It'll be interesting to see how he does because in his debut, it was 2 rounds to 1. Pretty mixed display from... I mean, obviously, you're going to get that with flyweight. It's going to be very close. But it's not like we've seen... we've seen flyweight dominations where people are just not on the same level as them. Like if you go back to Albazi versus Moreno beat him 5 rounds to 0. Very clear display from Moreno. Whereas Kavanagh, he kind of put up a performance that was like, there's room for error here, and there's not. He didn't look like a well-oiled machine, but he is only, I think he's like 24 years old. He's not very old. He's quite young. He still has a lot of improvement to be made, but I would be quite skeptical about putting him against a very high-level opponent. However, against Dos Anjos, I think he'll get it done. So that's my pick for this. Moving on. Jai Herbert versus... Why is it not... Okay, yeah, it has moved. Okay. Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla. We're going to call him Padilla. I feel like Jai Herbert might get chinned again. I'm going to be honest. We've seen him get chinned before. Obviously, Topuria flatline KO'd him. Topuria's flatline KO'd everyone. So it doesn't really make it... we can't really hold him to that. He has been knocked out before, though, and he has taken quite a bit of damage. Also, in this photo, it looks like he's in desperate need of a good night's sleep. So, I think Padilla's going to get done. I'm saying round 2 KO, but it could well be a round 1. It could be a round 1 for Jai Herbert as well. Very close fight. 50-50 coin flip. I'm going to side with Chris Padilla on this one, though. Moving on to the main card. I don't know why 3 of my pictures haven't loaded in. I believe they haven't actually loaded. Yep, they haven't. Okay, that's going to ruin my video. Imagine they're loaded in the actual video and it just... If they've loaded in the actual video, I'm not going to make a big deal of it. But on my screen, Molly McCann, Alexia, whatever her name is, and Chris Duncan, all of their pictures haven't loaded in. So if that's happened for you, then sorry about the production quality. If it hasn't happened for you, completely forget that I'm saying anything and just, we're going to go with the flow. Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan Charrière. It's a close one, very close. I think Nathaniel Wood has thrown away finishing positions before. I'm going to go with Nathaniel Wood, okay? I've already got like all the thing. I'm kind of questioning myself as I'm doing it because I've got... Oh, don't tell me the entire rest of the... No, okay. Right, I was just looking at the bottom. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Nathaniel Wood has... I'm kind of questioning my own picks at this point, but I'm going to side with Nathaniel Wood. I feel like he is a better fighter, but he could easily lose this one. It is another 50-50 in my opinion. Next up, we have Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. On my screen, neither of these photos have loaded in. Hopefully, they've loaded in for you, but just in case, I'm going to try and breeze through this one. Vucenic is very good. Duncan's also pretty good as well. Don't get me wrong. You don't make it to the UFC if you're a complete bum, unless you're in a heavyweight division. I'm gonna go with Vucenic to win this one via submission in round 2. Duncan just sticks his heads into guillotines. I feel like Vucenic can find a guillotine, or if Duncan just yams his head into one, I feel like a submission in round 2 makes a lot of sense. We always pick round 2 because if you pick round 1, it's kind of like no one really goes balls to the wall in round 1 unless you're like there's a huge mismatch. Round 2 makes a lot more sense. Both fighters have kind of settled into the fight a little bit. There's not even any logic behind it because I don't think like statistically a lot of finishes happen in the second round. It doesn't matter. I'm picking Vucenic to win by submission round 2. We're going to go deeper than that and say guillotine. Chris Duncan always sticks his head into a guillotine. Moving on. Molly McCann versus Alexia Thainara. I think Molly McCann's going to get beaten, if I'm going to be honest. Her striking's a little bit mid. Grappling's all right. But, you know, I think Alexia's going to get it done in her debut. I'm going to say by decision. Could well be a finish, but I think a decision makes a lot of sense just because of the lack of power in this matchup. Then you could well get it done by a finish, though. Actually, now I think about it. We're going to go with decision, though. We're going to bank decision. Moving on to the first fighters who I can actually see their faces of because their picture's actually loaded in. Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland. I'm not picking Holland to win by decision. I don't know why it says that. We're picking Gunnar Nelson to win by round 1 submission. Holland is awful on the ground. And on top of that, he doesn't try in any of his fights. If I'm like last 5 fights, he's got 1 win. He doesn't try. He got submitted against Reina Derrida. Gunnar Nelson's got a very good jiu-jitsu and submission game. I'm going to pick Gunnar Nelson to get this one done by submission. Then again, though, Holland is cutting to 170, meaning that he might actually be trying to win this fight. You know, that sounds crazy that a UFC fighter might actually be trying to win a fight for once, but I'm going to pick Gunnar Nelson to win, but don't be surprised if Kevin Holland pulls this one at the back. Next up, Jan Błachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. I'm going with Carlos Ulberg because I think he is the better fighter. I think he has the highest chance of getting it done. But Jan Błachowicz should not be overlooked. This guy, 42 years of age, listen, that Bahera fight was close. I think that was 2023. That was, what, 2 years? I think he was 40 when he did that one. Maybe been 41. That doesn't make any sense. It was not 40. No, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. I think, and then he had the Ankalaev fight before that, where it was a draw. Then he had, Rakic before that, beat him. Then he did Adesanya, beat Adesanya, outstruck Adesanya. And then, what? And then before that, it was Reyes before that, where he won the title. So, don't count Jan Błachowicz out. Ulberg should get this one done, but Błachowicz, it's a close one. Very close. I'm gonna call Ulberg, but don't be sleeping on my boy Jan Błachowicz, even though I'm gonna sleep on him. Main event: Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. People are sleeping on Leon Edwards. They are sleeping on him. They're saying, "Oh, Brady this, Brady that." People forget, man. Edwards is so good. He is a very good technical striker. Boring striker. Doesn't have a lot of output. Very technical, very good at distance management. Against Brady, though, I've got my finger stuck in my microphone. Right, wow, that's weird. Okay, against Brady, Brady's got a very good takedown game. And he looks all right on the feet. Granted, he did get put out by Belal Muhammad. Edwards didn't get put out by Belal Muhammad, but Brady did. Edwards does kind of struggle against shorter opponents, though, which is a problem. But he does have good takedown defense. And on top of that, his rear high kick of a left high kick, especially the one that we saw against Usman, he's been doing that shit throughout his entire career. Okay? Very, very strong left high kick. That can finish a fight instantly, if we're being honest. He did that shit. Sorry. He did that stuff against Belal in their first fight. Rocked him. Well, not rocked, but kind of like, wobbled him. Done it against Diaz a bunch of times. Obviously did against Usman when he put him out cold. Very technical striker. Brady, he also has very good takedown defense as well, and a good ground game. I think he gets this done over Brady. I don't see a realm where Brady is better than Edwards. Obviously, that sounds very delusional, but I don't see a world where Brady beats Leon Edwards, despite being the favorite, which is insane. So I'm going to pick Leon Edwards to get it done by boring decision. Very technical, boring decision. But I feel like he will get it done, especially because I don't rate Brady, especially with Brady coming on short notice. You know what I mean? Or is it short notice? Or was he booked to fight someone else? I think it is short notice. I'm banking with Leon Edwards on this one. Regardless, let me know what you think of my picks. If you did enjoy this video, then just leave a like, subscribe, please. You know, and leave a comment and let us know what you think of my picks. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.